Okay, so we have BASSFZz from YouTube. We got cognitive dissonance, and they're going to debate veganism. I may talk to Bass myself after, but we'll see how it goes. Just gonna unmute them both now.
So this is like a full-on debate, and I have to convince you to eat meat.
No, it's pretty much at this point. I just want to see your understanding and if you can actually give a good argument for the name the trade. So good response to the name the trade argument. That's if you can convince me to eat meat, that'd be great as well. That'd make my life a whole lot easier.
I would imagine if you want to eat meat, you should just do it.
Yeah.
I'm going to
So
be pretty candid, by the way. I'm not coming here for.
yeah. So I mean, it'd be a lot easier to eat animal products, obviously, but there may be certain considerations that I have which over override my desire, eat animal products. You understand that, right?
I
So
do.
yeah, so it's so essentially we'll just go down, I guess, the name of trade argument for the moment. So um, we were just wondering what is it about animals that sort of reduces their consideration to you so much that you're happy to just continue participating in the, I guess, what is a large animal holocaust, and you wish to argue against people who are away from, or who are choosing to abdicate away from it, and that you think, I assume, it's like a neutral sort of issue and not really much of a issue of concern.
I'm not sure I entirely understand. You want me to answer why I think it's okay to eat animal products?
Yeah, yeah. So you understand the whole
And
concept of veganism or what's going on behind that, right?
yeah, and the second part is you want me to answer why I don't think that it's a huge.
So more importantly, like, okay, we'll just start with, you've got the name of the trade argument, right? So you
Okay.
tried to give several responses to that. I'm just wondering what your response is, whereby it's okay to treat animals the way that we currently treat them, and if you would be okay with us treating humans, and what it is really that it reduces their value enough.
All right. Well, if we start with why do I think it's okay to mistreat animals? I really don't. I think it's okay to kill and eat them. I don't think it's okay to mistreat.
Okay, so
Mostly
do you,
because I don't see any purpose or point to it. It would be purely sadistic. However, to consume an animal, it's to obtain energy. Plain.
yeah, so I mean, I'm sure you're aware that you can obtain energy without consuming animal products. So it's not something that's exclusively required through animal products.
It doesn't have to be either.
Yeah, yeah, no, I'm not saying it has to be from a non-animal product. I'm saying you've stated that you're getting energy from it, but you
Yes.
can get energy from. So now, if it was the case, I can just make it simple. So if it was the case that, say, we had some sort of a similar system whereby we were killing a set of human beings, right? And we were farming the same way that we currently farm animals. Would you buy these products, and or would you discourage other people from buying these products?
No, I'd never eat or consume anything from a human. Mostly
Okay.
because I want my species to continue to exist.
Yeah, so the point I'm making is, so it would be a situation where the species would continue existing and wouldn't have a problem continuing existing. We,
Well,
we can
not if
exploit
we
and kill
kill
and
one
eat
meat
human
though.
beings without actually, like, endangering or threatening the species, right? Like, we've been exploiting pigs for years, and they're not in anywhere close to being extinct.
I mean, fair enough, but like, how would that benefit humanity in any particular way? If
So,
I
so
if I
I'm
if I want my species to thrive and them being eaten and ripped apart by other humans, it wouldn't solve anything. In fact, I mean, there are wars going on like right now as we speak. There's slavery going on right now, like as we speak. There's abortions going on right now as we speak. And
that
like,
that that
just
yeah,
going
that's
off my
that's just going
channel,
down. That's just going down
humans.
a whole. Yeah,
Here's the
it's
thing.
just a
Here's the
whole
thing.
whole lot of ramble, right?
The
So
long and
what
short of
is
it
it?
is,
If
and I'm
you if
telling
you
you,
just Yeah. But I don't want a huge ramble about it. So you're stating you wouldn't pay for it, right?
No.
Now I also understand that the other question, part of the question was, would you discourage others from participating in this same sort of industry and like basically buying products from this industry?
Clearly, yes. I
Okay.
discourage humans from hurting each other all the time.
Okay, so what is it about animals that reduces their value, or for you makes the difference that it's okay to, well, you don't bother discouraging people from buying animal products, and additionally, you also participate in buying these animal products?
It's the lack of moral responsibility and moral
Okay,
reciprocity.
cool. And what do you mean by that?
What I mean by that is an animal has no capacity and no ability to reciprocate morality between us. So no matter if I meet a bobcat on the field, on the mountain line, whatever, they are under no obligation to not attack me. And I'm under no obligation to not attack him. The only reason I would even consider not hurting the bobcat is because I can rationalize and think critically because, I have a whole neocortex and that whole thing. That bobcat doesn't have that. So
Yeah.
why
So
would I give him
are we
the same?
Are we farming bobcats, or what are we farming and
It
killing?
doesn't matter. I mean, all animals are on the same playing field.
Okay,
From
so
my point of view.
it's the ability
Unless hold on,
just one
unless you
second.
want
It's
to
the
argue
ability. Yeah, so it's the
that
ability
we're only
to.
talking about like farm animals, because I'm talking about animals in principle. Like they're all the same to me. Like
So, yeah,
if we
so
were farming bobcats, it would make no difference to me.
okay, cool. So it's just as long as you're saying their ability to understand moral responsibility and reciprocate morality or something along those lines.
Yes, and then they'd have to be held to the same responsibility too.
Okay, so would you believe, or do you think that there are human beings who have the same sort of cognitive capacity as animals and can reciprocate sorry, morality to the same level as animals?
I think you cut out there for a second.
So do you think there are human beings that have sort of moral responsibility to the same level of?
Well, we all have more responsibility to each other, so it's not the same.
So that's not the
You would,
question I asked you. So like you're
your
saying,
question was,
I assume when you're talking about animals that they can't. Do you mean they can't like understand morality to the same level as an average human being, or what exactly?
Yes.
Okay. Do you think all human beings understand morality and ethics, or can sort of discuss it and think about it to the same?
Yes.
So do you think a 1-year-old can understand the same level of like philosophy and moral philosophy as say like a, I don't know, philosophy professor of like 50 years?
Obviously.
So
I
okay,
mean,
so
come on.
a one day year
Let's
old.
not pretend. Come on, dude.
No.
Obviously,
Just let's be
children
clear.
have to be taught to learn how
Okay,
to reciprocate
at
morality.
that
Clearly,
point,
obviously.
I'm
Are we?
just getting clarity on the table, right? So that's just a
But they
straightforward
have the
contradiction. If
capacity.
it's the case, okay, cool, that's fine. Are there people that are cognitively impaired and will never get to that level of capacity?
There could be, and like if you mean mentally challenged people, perhaps.
So mentally challenged people, people with dementia. I don't know if you ever dealt with people with dementia, but do you think that those kinds of people have the same level of understanding of morality as, say, like an average person, or say someone who's involved in moral philosophy and discussing moral philosophy?
Probably not.
Okay, so you agree that those kinds of people don't have the same level as the average person, maybe. So right now, let's just say, if they, do you think that it's possible that they have the same level of understanding of morality and moral responsibility and all of that as?
You cut out again.
So do you think there are human beings that could have the understanding of moral responsibility? And so what was the other part that you said? Moral responsibility and
Yeah, reciprocation. You have to be
reciprocation,
able
yeah.
to understand morality, and we all have a responsibility to give it back to each
Yeah.
other.
So if these human beings don't understand morality to that level and cannot reciprocate it, would it be okay to?
To farm them? No, it would
Yeah.
be okay to put them in prison.
Yeah, so just so you understand, there are mentally handicapped people who can't, who won't necessarily go out of the way to try and attack you, but they just don't understand moral, um, moral reasoning to the same level as the average person, right? You understand?
And we put them in mental institutions.
No, no, no. I'm not
We
talking about
separate
mental.
them
No,
from
no,
the
no, no. I'm
general
not. I'm not talking
population.
about. No, 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 no. I'm not talking like. All right, right. One second. Okay, so can you see in general chat?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's that's a now past lady called Bree, right?
Okay.
A late, yeah. So do you think she has the same ability to understand morality as, say, like you or
Yourself?
me, or like, yeah?
Probably not.
Okay, cool. So do you think it would be okay to farm this skill?
No.
Okay, so if you're saying it is and isn't the case that moral responsibility and moral reciprocation is the thing that allows us to farm animals, then it
To
should be
kill
the
them.
case that, yeah, yeah. So now you're saying it's not okay to farm this person while they have the same trait. So it just seems like you've got a contradiction going on there.
Well, I mean,
It
you wouldn't
is.
let me. You
It
won't let me
is.
finish. You won't let me talk.
Yeah. So if the thing on
You gotta let me complete
table.
the thought.
Look, yeah, I'm happy to let you complete it if it's actually relevant. But if the thing you said is moral responsibility and ability to reciprocate morality,
Yes,
right?
we have a
And you're saying
responsibility to them. She is someone's
yeah,
child, is she not?
right.
So her
So
parents have a responsibility to her. They are humans, and
cool.
humans want
So
to survive and reproduce. So it would not make sense for you to kill other humans when you want to survive and reproduce. We
so
also have a functioning
we could
society. The only way our
just to
society
be
can
clear,
function,
yeah.
hold
So
on,
you
you
just
gotta let me
complete
finish the
ramble, just
thought.
complete. So
You
I can
calling it
address both of
ramble?
those things, right?
You calling it
It
ramble?
is ramble.
But
It's
you gotta
complete ramble,
listen
right?
to what I'm saying.
So here, look, dude. So
So
here's the
I'll
thing:
put it to you
is
like this.
we could farm these people. We could farm these
I
people
listen,
and
I'm not
still
arguing to
maintain our
farm
society.
humans. I'm not arguing to farm humans. I will never argue it's okay to farm humans.
We are
I
not
don't think it's
either.
fine.
We are not either. I'm just wondering why it is within your system or within your views, right, that it's not okay to farm these people, right, when you said that they have the same trait of relevance as an animal, right? So I am not okay with farming these people.
Well,
I
they're
am not
also
okay with farming
they're
animals.
they're
So what
they're
is
not
it? Oh,
the same animal. They are humans. That is whole being a human is wholly the difference. That's the whole difference. They're humans.
okay, so you're dropping
And
moral
every
responsibility,
organism,
moral
listen,
reciprocation,
more
and it's just down
reciprocation.
to humans.
Yes, and that is
That's it. Okay.
because we are humans. We can morally reciprocate between each other because we are humans. It's all
So
one thing. We're humans. We
that's
have that
just
capacity.
complete sophistry
Other
ramble.
animals
So
can't.
you've just 1 second. So you said that they're humans and they can morally reciprocate when I've just shown you a person who can't morally reciprocate to the same
Okay,
level, right?
listen.
So it's just a
In
pointless
principle,
statement.
in principle means relating to the definition of, okay? In principle, humanity is not mentally challenged. In principle, the vast majority of us humans, the vast majority of us 7 billion people can have a conversation like this. And even if you say that you have children who don't understand this, they will and they can because they have that capacity. A cat will never have that. A pig, a cow, a chicken will never have that capacity. There is no way to raise a chicken to act morally responsible. It cannot happen. And that is wholly
Okay.
the difference. They're not humans. They can't think like humans. They can't rationalize like humans. They have no responsibility to us as humans.
Do
We
you
have
think?
a society. We
Yeah.
have to function together in our society.
Do you think you could
Farming each
raise
other
Brie? Yeah.
would not do that.
Do you think you could raise Brie to morally reciprocate like the average human being?
Can you argue the principle, please?
Do you? Yeah, yeah. So, do you think you could raise? I'm just because you've made several disjointed points, right? So
Argue
I'm
the
just picking
principle of
one.
my point.
So why don't you just write out your point really clearly? Because all I can see is just a whole lot of. If I'm being charitable to you, right, it'd be something like, um, the average human being has this capacity, and therefore all the other human beings get consideration along those lines.
Yes.
Okay, cool. And if it was the case, right? So let's just say 51%, and this is where you're going to have to come along with me on the hypothetical rides. If it was the case that just say 51%, right, couldn't reason at the level of what we now consider an average human being, right, and sort of reason at the level of an animal, would it be okay to farm human beings?
No.
Okay, so if you're saying it's the rule for the average or the rule for the majority, and then in the next instance saying it isn't the rule for the majority and the rule for the average, then that's just a straightforward contradiction as well. So can you try again?
Once again, a human being is still a human being.
Okay, so now it seems
to thrive.
So you keep saying you want your species to thrive, but I'm just pointing out, it's completely logically possible. It's completely logically possible that we could farm these people, right? Just farm a whole set of human beings, and the species could still. Like, you just keep saying that as if somehow the thriving of the species is somehow dependent on us not farming these people, right? Like, if there's some sort of logical impossibility.
Yes.
All right, show me the logical. Show me the contradiction.
The logical contradiction is people being kept in cages and being ripped apart and eaten and killed would not be them being able to live their own life, be able to have families, be able to have a functioning society, would be able to have them loving each other and being well. It could not function in that capacity.
Yeah, so let's just be clear. Are you saying it would allow the species to thrive or these specific people to thrive?
The species, humanity.
Okay, so now you're going to have to show me the contradiction, right? So is it the case that the species could thrive while a certain set of that species is exploited and...
So you're saying the humans who are the farm keepers, would they be thriving? Would they be okay? The cannibals, would they be okay?
Yeah, I assume so. If they're making a profit, then they would thrive.
I would imagine that they would be totally fine.
Yeah, right. So if they're thriving, all right, and then the rest of the species that is eating the farmed set of human beings is doing fine, then why is it the case that you're saying farming these human beings will result in the species not thriving? Because now you've just stated, is it possible?
Listen.
I'm listening.
Let's say we split it 50-50 down the middle. 50% of humans are being eaten and being raised in this farm institution. The other 50 are eating them. They're cannibals. Okay? Mm-hmm. So one half is thriving, the other half is being farmed. The whole of humanity is in a state of dysfunction because we have some people being eaten and we have another set of people who are not. Okay? In my point of view, that is not functional. That is not okay. And it does not help humanity as a whole. The whole, one half, two half, work together. So the whole is off balance. So that's
all right. So do we just have to farm slightly less than 50%? Because if the majority are thriving,
humans, I am not going to argue it's okay to farm humans.
Again, I do not want to argue for farming human beings.
So
right?
As long as we're on the same page here.
No. I don't expect you to say that it's okay, right? I'm just trying to get to the bottom of why it's okay to treat animals like that, and you're saying it's not okay to treat humans like that. What's the major difference so far right now? Just one second, right? So, right, if you're saying that the species will not be able to thrive, right, and you're saying the majority of the species specifically would not be thriving if about half of the species is being farmed, is it just as long as less than half of the species is being farmed and the rest of the majority of the species, let's just say 60-40 split, and the 60% is just doing really well while the other 40% is being farmed, is that ethical to you?
No.
Is that the symmetry breaker for you?
No.
Okay, so then you can't say it is the case that the thriving of the species is the issue here. That's
Yes, I
just
can.
providing contradiction, right?
No, it
Because
isn't.
we have 60% thriving. We have the majority of the species
It's not
thriving.
about the majority. It's about the whole. It's about all of us. If a part of us is not thriving, there's an issue.
Okay, so
The
it's
whole. So it doesn't matter if it's 90-10. It doesn't matter if it's 99-1%. I want 100% of humans are able to at least attempt to have a good life. At least be able to attempt to try. If some people are being held in a cage waiting to be killed and eaten, they are not attempting to at least try to have their own families, their own life, their own goals, their own values.
okay.
So it doesn't matter. There's no percentage you can make that's ever going to make it okay.
Cool. And what is it about animals specifically that you do not care about them thriving?
So we're talking about what? Pigs, cows, horses, and all of
Yeah, just anything that you're. What do you currently eat? Factory farmed animals, or what do you?
Yeah, I'll eat anything
So
that's movable.
right. So you eat factory farmed animals, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So you're okay supporting the factory farming of animals.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's have that clear on the table. So you are okay with animals being treated badly, and you're happy to support.
Yeah.
You're literally paying for it. Yeah. Okay. So when you said that earlier, that you're not okay with it, were you lying to me, or you've contradicted yourself here?
I was lying to you, I guess.
Okay, cool. So
I think
can you try to be
clarify.
honest from here on?
Well, hold on.
Can you try to be honest from here?
Can you let me talk, mate? Can you let me clarify it for a second, mate? Listen.
You started the accent really good.
Let me be clear.
You started Australian and then you went
me-
really British. But let's
be clear then. Okay, let me be clear. I am okay with consuming animals. Now, do I want the animals to be beaten and mistreated? Not really. Now, that's just me personally. Do I think humanity has any obligation to them as a whole? Not really. No, I don't. But me personally, BASSFZz, do I want them to be hurt? Not really. Do I care if they're killed? No, I'm okay. We have to consume living organisms, organisms or products in general, and they don't have to be living, to just continue to thrive, to exist. That's just the nature of reality. Like, I didn't make it that way. That's just how it is.
Okay,
so
cool.
I am okay with them being killed.
And you're okay with them being treated badly as well, obviously.
Not really.
You've literally just told me that you pay for to eat factory farmed animals.
Yeah.
Okay, so you are okay paying for people to factory farm animals.
Sure.
Okay, then why do you keep doing that? Why do you just keep doing that?
Animals, I'm telling you why.
Okay, no. That's not what I'm asking you. All I'm asking you is, you're okay with a system which factory farms animals and treats them badly, and you're saying, well, I don't prefer it. All I'm saying is, you're okay paying for that, right?
Well, if I don't prefer it, then I'm not okay with it. That's not how I want it to be.
No. You literally, dude. Where do you live?
Why would I?
You don't have to tell me the street address or anything. Like, I'll just make some assumptions, and it's probably going to be.
I don't know you.
It's probably. I don't really give a fuck where you live. I'm just going to make a statement, right?
I'm busting your balls, dude.
It's likely going to be the case, right, that you have access to not factory farmed animals, and you have access to a vegan set of options for food, right? But you've repeatedly chosen, and you continue to choose to eat factory farmed animals. So you do not really particularly give a fuck about not paying people to not factory farm animals, right? So you're okay paying for people to factory farm animals. It's just a straightforward step. Yeah, okay, that's all I just wanted you, and you said at the start that you're not okay with that, right? So it sounded like you were just fucking lying.
I'm not okay with them being hurt. I don't care with them.
Yes, you are. That you are literally okay with it. If you're happy, if you have another option,
you seem
if
to
you
not
have
be
an
able
option
to not
no, just listen.
You're not comprehending
this. This is all I'm saying. I'll put it really simply, right? I have option A, I have option B, I have option C. All of those are easily attainable for me, right? Option A involves torturing animals, right? Option B involves not torturing animals. Option C involves not torturing animals, right? I do not really give a fuck. I'll happily choose option A. Am I okay with choosing the option that tortures animals?
Yeah.
Okay, that's literally all I was saying to you, right? And then earlier when I asked you about it, you said you're not okay with it, but clearly you're okay with it.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
that's
don't know
that's the point. That's the point.
Say the
So,
same thing over and over.
right? No. I just want you to clearly understand the point that was being made, which is that you are okay.
What I keep saying.
Yeah, so I understand that you were saying
what
that
have
you would prefer that wasn't happening, but you're not willing to even make the slightest tiny little changes, whereby you have the option to not choose that thing, but you're just not going to you're just okay not choosing that thing.
No, I don't want the animals to be tortured. I don't mind them.
So you have
So
the option.
In other words, listen, I'm okay with going into the wilderness, taking a double barrel shotgun and killing a deer.
No. I don't give a fuck about that. I don't give. I just don't care about ramble. I do not care about that ramble. I just don't care. Just don't care about ramble.
Listen.
So just simple. This is simple logic. This is just simple stuff, dude. Just super simple stuff, right? All right. So option A. No.
Pigs,
I don't. It's not. We're not talking about killing.
I'm fine with that.
We're not even talking about killing at this point.
I don't like beating a cow. I don't like beating them. I don't think you.
Are you okay?
I don't like strangling chickens. I don't like.
Are you
pigs.
okay?
I don't like.
Are you okay paying for people? Are you okay paying for? Are you paying okay?
Eating that pig? Yes. Yes, I am.
That's all we're saying. We're saying you have the option to not pay for that, right? But you choose repeatedly to pay for that. That's what we're saying. So you are okay paying for that to happen. Yes. That's all. All right, cool. Yes. Now we've got the concession. All right, that's fine. Now, I mean, I think. Yeah, I mean, you're just at this point. I would say you saying you're okay paying for animals to be tortured is a pretty bad concession on your point. Yeah, sure. I would say that's pretty bad.
Okay, sure.
Cool. Now all right. I mean, I'm not really sure I need to go any further, but so far, let's just point out that you're okay paying for people to torture animals and kill them, right? And this is an option which is arguably it's not better for your health, arguably worse for your health. It's severely damaging to the environment. It's accelerating antibiotic resistance growth. It's using up resources that could easily be redirected to feed more human beings, right? So that's the option you're choosing. It's not just that you're choosing to torture animals or pay for people to torture and kill animals. You're also doing something that's worse for your health. You're doing something that's worse for the environment. You're doing something that's helping accelerate antibiotic resistance development.
I accept it.
You're using up more resources. Yeah, okay, cool. Do you have a good argument for that? Or are you just taking all of that on the chin?
Yeah, I'm taking it all on the chin because you're not listening to me.
No, I listen to you, right? If you actually have a relevant statement for all of that, if you actually have a good counter argument, then I'm happy to.
It's just some kind of ramble. You won't listen. You're not listening to the argument.
You're trying to ramble. The point that I've made clearly, which everyone's heard at this point,
ramble, but you're not listening.
Yeah, I'm not interested in just a pointless ramble where you talk about you're happy to go out into the forest and shoot an animal. That's not the point I'm getting to.
I'm happy to go into a farm and slitting a cow's throat.
And if you had the option, right? And this is why it just doesn't matter. Because what you've conceded to, what you've stop. What you've conceded to, what you've had, or you can just choose to eat the plants.
Or I can eat both.
Or you can choose to eat the plants and not hurt the animal, right? And that's the issue.
I could.
Then why don't you do that?
Well, I'm an omnivore because I want to eat the cow.
Are you talking a functional omnivore? Are you talking about biological omnivore? Are you saying that it's healthier for you?
I'm not saying. Listen, I didn't say it. Listen. I'm not arguing about health. I've never argued about health. I argued in terms of morality. We don't owe animals anything. So listen, you can have 150,000 different reasons why being vegan is healthier. Fine, I concede. I don't know. Can't argue. But in terms of morality, I can't argue. Logically, it's inconsistent to say that we need to treat animals the same way we treat humans. It's ridiculous.
No. That's not what we've said. That's not.
The fact that we even consider animals in any moral in any moral capacity is ridiculous to me. It's silly. So if we're going to argue that, let's argue that. I'll concede 100%. Is being vegan healthier? I don't know. Probably. I concede. I don't know. I can't argue with you.
So
If we're going to
just
talk about morality, if we're going to talk about philosophy, if we're going to talk about logic, it is ridiculous and illogical to even consider animals, whether it's on the farm, anywhere else, in the same capacity as we would human beings. Totally silly.
yeah. So
Argue that.
what we're talking about, yeah, that's easy. So when we talk about treating animals the same as human beings, we're not literally saying treat each animal the same as you would treat the average human being. You treat the animals with consideration to what their
No.
capacity is
Nope.
at this as the same as a human being, right? So a lot of animals have dispositions for certain things. They seem to like certain things. They seem to want to avoid certain things. They seem to have a certain kinds of experience. So if we put a pig into a farrow crate for the duration of its life, it seems to really it seems to not enjoy that. When we rip the testicles off of pigs without anesthetic, they seem to really thrash and really fight against that. When we cut off parts of their bodies without any anesthetic, they seem to really not like that, right? They seem to really fight it. They seem to enjoy being in sort of free open areas. They seem to enjoy being pat on occasion. They seem to enjoy eating certain foods and stuff like that. They seem to enjoy furrowing and things like that, right? Now, they have those experiences, and we have the option to not put them through really bad experiences. And the moral argument that's being put forward, and when you're saying there's no moral argument, so far, let's just be clear, you've conceded that you're okay to pay for animals to be tortured, which I think is just a complete fucking loss on your part. For animals to be tortured when you have the option to not do that, to kill animals when you have the option to not do that, to do something that's obviously worse for your health, right? That's obviously worse for the environment, which is also a moral argument, right? Which is it's actually increasing, or it's playing a part in increasing antibiotic resistance, which is going to be a huge fucking problem decades down the line, which is also a moral argument. And it's wasting resources that could be redirected to feed and help other human beings and go back to sorting some of our environmental problems, which is also a moral problem as well, right? So it's not just the moral problem of you're okay paying for people to torture animals, it's all of these other things that you're okay with. That's the moral problems that you're conceding to.
Sure.
Yeah, so that looks pretty bad on your part.
Who cares if it looks bad on my part? I want you to argue my point.
So are you just straight up conceding all of those moral points straight up? You're okay with torturing animals. You're okay with destroying the environment.
Logically, if it gets to the part where we start talking about why we need to consider animals in the same vein as humans in terms of morality and reciprocation, I'll concede all of it. I want you to argue why we need to consider these animals in the same capacity as humans, because I think it's ridiculous. So if it gets us there.
Yeah, so the point that, or the things that we would consider with regards to these animals being given better consideration is they seem to be able to experience pain. They seem to have certain dispositions that we would consider valuable in human beings, both for things and against things, right? And so we would like those factors to be considered when we treat animals in certain ways. And we think we ought not farm animals and put them into situations where they are literally being tortured, right?
Okay.
No, I mean, what do you mean? Okay, that's the point of why we ought treat animals with the same consideration of how we treat human beings with the same capacity.
Well, okay, so here's my response to that. Because animals have no obligation to us to reciprocate what we just gave to them, it's silly for us humans to extend that back to those guys.
What do you mean by
Because all of
reciprocate?
those animals, do you know what the word reciprocate means?
No. I understand
It
the
means
word
to
reciprocate,
return.
but what do you mean from? So, like, I've met pigs and cows that are
Yes.
perfectly peaceful, and they're not trying to like punch you. They're not trying to like headbutt you or anything. Same with dogs. What do you mean by reciprocate?
A dog will bite you, though.
My dog doesn't bite me.
Okay, well, I mean, some other people's dogs have.
Okay, so should I punch my dog in the face because some other dog might bite me?
No, I certainly don't think so. But here's the thing: the dog has no obligation to not bite you. Is my point.
I mean,
the pig has no obligation. The pig has no obligation to not
What
hurt you, even if the pig doesn't. I mean, it's cool.
what does that mean? What does
It's
that
nice that
mean?
the pig
What do you
doesn't.
mean by that?
What it means.
Okay, what do you mean by that?
Okay, I'm explaining what I mean by that. What I mean by that is the pig, in terms of morality and functioning in our society, in order to keep things going, we have to make certain agreements and concessions to each other. Which means I'm not going to take your stuff, you're not going to take my stuff, I'm not going to kill you, I'm not going to hurt you, okay? Animals cannot live like that in principle, in their function. Because as much as you have this pig over here, you have a fox, you have a wolf, you have a coyote who's going to come and kill that pig no matter what. It's just there's no way you can apply that same metric of we need to reciprocate and make sure we protect each other between animals, because the nature of even our existence as human beings, as every living organism except for like plants, is that we have to consume, well, actually even some plants do this, but we have to consume other organisms for energy. That's just the basic
Okay.
nature of biological reality. It has to be done. The same in plants. Plants are still living organisms we have to consume. That's just how it is.
Do you think plants have subjective
Doesn't
experience with plants?
Listen, it doesn't matter.
Do
It
you
doesn't
think we
matter if
could?
the animals have subjective experiences. Do you think the wolf cares about the pig's subjective experience? If that wolf doesn't care, why should me as a human care? What obligation do I have to? Why should I care about the wolf out in the pasture, out in the
Okay.
forest?
So all I want is just a clear argument
All
as
I
to why
want
it's
is an
okay.
answer to my question. Why should I care about this wolf?
Okay,
Should
so
I
why
take
do you
this
care
wolf
about
to
human
court?
beings?
If I
Why
have,
do
if
you
I have,
why do you
I
care?
about
Why do you care?
human beings
Why
to
do you
keep
care
our
about human
society
beings?
functioning. I just
Okay.
told you why. To keep our
Yeah, so
society functioning.
that's fine. We
I
can
also
talk about the
want a
wolf. Do you
family.
think?
I
Just
want
one second.
friends.
So, do you think that that wolves actually understand morality to the level of human beings? Do you think also
That's my
additionally on top of
point.
that? No.
They don't.
That's not.
That's my
That's not a
point.
point. That's not a point in your favor. That's not a point in your favor. That asserts whether we judge them and punish them in a certain way. Do you understand that, right?
Exactly. Do we do that?
No.
Do we take wolves to court?
Do
No, we
you
don't.
Yeah. Okay. Do you think that pigs understand morality and cows understand morality to the same level of as human beings?
No.
Do you think Brie understands morality to the same level as the average human being?
No.
Should we farm Brie?
No.
Why are we farming? If your argument, right,
No,
is
remember what
we
you
should farm them.
in
Just one
principle.
second.
So
We
the
should
principle is
we should treat animals. We should treat animals that way because they don't understand moral responsibility to that level. Then it ought to be the case that we should farm Brie or human beings that understand morality to that same level.
no, it doesn't.
Okay, then that's on you to explain that further. If you're saying it's the thing is their inability if you're saying that, okay, cool, then we can go into another hypo. And by the way, I can just ask you, what's the specific thing for you that you care about with regards to human beings? Are you talking about their DNA? Are you talking about the way they look? What is about human beings? As you just keep going on.
I'm talking about their spirit. I'm talking about their soul. I'm talking about our responsibility to them morally. Listen, here's the thing. Check this out. Old people. Hold on. Hold on. You're gonna call this a ramble, and I gonna say this about
I'm just gonna ask.
Listen.
Do you actually believe in the soul? Do you believe in the soul?
Yes, the soul, the spirit, the mind. I think there is value to all of us as human beings. That includes you as well, by the way. I mean, as frustrated as I am, I still think you have value.
I just want to be clear.
So
are you talking about like
and that includes Brie? It could be religious. It could be. It doesn't matter. Okay. The point is, because Brie is a human being, she came from two human beings. They have an obligation to her parents. They love her. They care about her. She has value to them. Okay? Do you get that?
Yeah, I'm just going to write down some of this stuff.
Okay. So, because Brie is an outlier to humanity, the word principle means relating to the definition of something. Okay, so in principle, as a human being, it doesn't matter if you have special characteristics or special outliers or different things. The principal idea is that we as human beings have a moral obligation to each other, to keep our society going and functioning. It's the only way our society can function. It's just that plain and simple. There's no way you can apply that to other species because the nature of existence is consuming other organisms in order to continue to exist. That would include plants as well. Even if they don't have a central nervous system or whatever, we have to consume them just to exist and thrive and be. That's just how it works. So you can't apply to how we treat humans to how we treat other animals because in principle the function of biology does not allow for that. The only way for us to continue to exist is we have to say that I'm more important than this thing, or like my existence is more important than that other organism's existence. That's just how the world functions.
Okay, cool. Give me a sec.
So it doesn't matter if Bree is mentally challenged or if Bree doesn't understand morality. The basic principle is Bree is a human and Bree has a family.
Cool. I'm just making a list of everything.
Okay.
Okay, so we've got 5 things on the table. This is what I was getting at. So you got Bree has parents. Bree, the majority of human beings are a certain way. Society needs to be able to function. Consuming, you have to consume organisms to live. And Bree is a human.
Is a human.
Bree is a human. Yeah. Okay.
In principle.
What do you mean by in principle?
I mean relating to the definition of.
Okay,
the definition of a human. Bree is a human being in terms of biology, DNA, thought function, all of
it. Okay, cool. I'm just going to maybe break that down further. Okay, cool. So just to find out what we would have to change about Bree to make her farmable within your view, she has parents that care about her or have an obligation for her. The majority.
There's your answer.
So you would have to just not be a human. Okay, so let's just say something like Yoda. Could we farm Yoda?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Could we farm... Say there was a set of, let's just say Neanderthals, I think technically don't classify as human beings, but otherwise, so if we found a set of Neanderthals or we brought them back, right, and we started farming them, and so that we've just got a set of people who are able to function in our society, are perfectly fine. They're not human beings, which is, so you've collapsed everything down to they just need to be human or not human for us to be able to farm them.
No. Can they reciprocate morality? Can they understand it?
Okay, now you've added that back on, right? So you said
that,
yeah. Okay, so you contradicted yourself. You said it just has to be human being. Now you're saying it has to be something else.
You said, okay, yeah.
So you just copped. This is probably the 5th contradiction or something like that, right? Okay. So, all right, cool. So it's not just human beings. So now all of that things I've listed. Listen, this is what I mean by ramble. Just one second. No. Just stop. This is what I mean by ramble. Okay. So I wrote down a list of 5 things.
Okay.
You collapse that down to one thing, and then as soon as I attack that one thing, you've tried to attach another one thing on top of that as well, right? So this is what I mean. You're just all over the fucking place. So I'll write it down again. Okay. And you can go on this ramble again.
Is a car a tire? Or is a car a summation of multiple parts together? Which means if I take a tire off of a car, does it stop being a car? Or is that just one individual part? Your finger. Is your finger a human being? No. So it's the whole argument. Every element has to be present at the same time. Okay? Do you get that? So it doesn't matter if you can pick multiple parts and strip it apart. Okay? But in principle, when it comes to my argument, as human beings, between us, we recognize each other in terms of morality, in terms of social cohesion, in terms of moral responsibility. giving it back and receiving it. We all get that. Animals cannot do that. So unless you can argue that it's okay or that animals can do this in some capacity, then you've got nothing. Which you haven't even done. You haven't even attempted to do so. This whole entire time.
We're getting at it, bro.
Well, then get at it.
I had to remake the list.
To me why it is okay.
I had to remake the list.
Treat any animal the same way I treat a human. I don't understand.
So that's just a straw man. That's a straw man. Okay, stop.
I can do that. Humans the same way. No bear, no pig, no cow, no horse. They won't. They won't do it. They don't even have the capacity to do it.
Treat us the same way in what meaning do you mean?
In terms of morality, my friend.
And what do you mean by that?
In terms of the way that we treat each other and the way we should treat each other and shouldn't treat each other.
And specifically, what do you mean by that? I'm not being a smart ass. I want you to be specific.
Specifically said it in terms of how we treat each other.
What specifically do you mean by that?
Do you live in a society?
Yeah, but I make out, Leah, just listen. So I make out. Just listen. I make out with my girlfriend,
go to the store?
Just listen. Just listen for a sec. Just listen. I make out with my girlfriend, but I don't make out with all of the people in the street. Okay.
Okay.
So I specifically want you to be clear.
So now we're talking about relationships. Then now we're talking about marriage.
No.
Obviously, you treat your girlfriend different than a random girl down the street. Obviously. Right. But here's what you don't do. You don't steal from the random girl down the street, and you don't steal from your girlfriend. Okay,
cool.
So in terms of stealing, you don't kill the random girl, and you don't kill your girlfriend.
Okay, cool.
You've got basic common sense, dude. You've got common sense. Come on. You're smart. You understand perfectly well what I mean. We don't burn other people's houses down to the ground. We don't commit arson, okay? And when we do, we put those people in prison. You understand that. You have common sense. Stop pretending that you don't get this.
No, I'm trying to get specifically to your point, right? So the vegan point is not that we should treat animals exactly the way that we treat human beings. We should treat animals with respect to how we would treat human beings of like a similar capacity, right? So I wouldn't expect to give a driver's license to a pig. I haven't seen a pig that could genuinely drive, okay? But I wouldn't think it's okay to farm a pig, right? And I wouldn't think it's okay to farm a human being that has the same capacities as a pig. That's a contradiction. Right? So no. All right, then show the contradiction.
The contradiction is you're saying that you can't give a pig some consideration, but you can give them other considerations. I'm saying you can't give them any consideration.
So what is a consideration?
So you can't give the pig the license.
No. What's the contradiction? No.
Because of some other reason?
Just tell me what a contradiction. First of all, I just want you to explain to me what a contradiction is.
A contradiction is when you say something that's the opposite of what you said originally.
Okay,
it's the opposite.
There's a better.
Maybe there's a better. You know what it means, dude. Come on.
I know, but I don't know if you know.
All right
this.
Then.
If you know what a contradiction is, then tell me what it is.
Dude, listen.
Then show me the contradiction.
Dude, we're both adults here. We're both intelligent people.
I do not give a fuck about that. Just don't give me that shit. Don't give me that. Do not give a fuck.
Exactly.
Give me the definition of contradiction. No, give me the definition of contradiction.
Do we need to go on Google to look up the definition of contradiction?
I can just tell you straight up. So it's a proposition and the negation of that proposition in the same context.
All right then.
Okay, now show me where I contradicted myself.
You're saying that we need to have some consideration for the fact that we don't treat animals the same way as humans. We don't give them licenses because they can't drive. But in that same token, you're saying that it's not okay to eat them because some other reason. Okay,
so what's the contradiction?
The contradiction is you're having a special categorization for these animals in one hand, but not in the other.
Okay, so show me the contradiction.
The contradiction is for some reason we can't treat the pig like a human, but we have to not be able to eat the pig either.
So show me the contradiction.
The contradiction is you can't treat the pig in two separate different categories. It's either a pig or it's not a pig.
First of all, I don't remember saying it is and isn't a pig, but I want you to show me the contradiction.
Okay. Why do we not give pigs driver's licenses?
So they haven't been able to show the capacity to understand the responsibility, and have the capacity to actually drive it.
So why can I not eat the pig?
Okay, how's that a contradiction?
Why can't I not eat the pig?
So look, just show us the contradiction.
Why
you shouldn't
can
even
I
have to
not
ask me a
eat the
question.
pig?
So just listen. You should be able to just spell out the contradiction, right? You should be able to spell out the contradiction without asking me any questions. That's how. If you found the contradiction, you should just be able to spell it out. No, it's actually irrelevant. Just show me the contradiction. No. It just show me here. Look, it's just P and not P. All right. Look here. I'll write out a super simple contradiction for you, and I want you to show me the same thing. Here, I'll even use one of the example or something along the lines of what you wrote, and I'll show you a contradiction.
Okay. You're still there, right?
Yep. So just in.
I'm just checking.
All right. So it is the case that pigs can drive. It's not the case that pigs can drive. So just show me a contradiction. Something like that. That should be a contradiction. You should just show me the contradiction. If you have a contradiction, show me the contradiction.
The contradiction is having two separate categories for how we treat the pig.
So can you spell out the contradiction?
The contradiction is that pigs shouldn't be treated the same as humans, but for some reason we treat them the same as humans. That is, we don't eat them.
Okay, can you show me where I've actually said that?
You said that we don't eat the pig the same way we don't eat the humans.
I don't think I've said that.
All right then.
I just want you to you have a look at what I've written, right? So it just should be something that simple.
Okay.
Right, so just show me a contradiction where I've contradicted myself.
I keep telling you.
So if you have to, just write it out and show me where it contradicts. I'm happy to just wait.
There's a lot of people like that. Hold on.
Yeah, that's fine. Just take your time. Just write it out. I would just like to show me a contradiction.
There.
That's not a contradiction.
Yes, it is.
No. That's actually not even a contradiction. We don't do something and we should do something is not a contradiction. So write out a contradiction.
When it comes to how we treat this pig, yes, it is.
So listen.
We don't treat the pig.
Listen. I'll even show you how simple it is. It's not a contradiction. So in Australia, we don't have legalized marijuana, except we should have legalized marijuana. Is that a contradiction?
No.
Okay, so just go over your sentence that you wrote and just have a look over it and try and figure out whether there's a contradiction.
I did. Your proposition. If we're talking about the reality of how we treat pigs, which is how it is committed, which is what I said,
the contradiction. Just show me the we're not moving off here.
Lord have mercy. How many times do I have to say the same thing over and over and again?
You haven't shown a contradiction. So when you show the contradiction, we can move on.
You know what? Okay, you win. You're done. You win.
I'm not done. I just want you to show me the contradiction.
Move on.
Are you conceding? Are you okay? Cool. Are you conceding?
Move on.
You are conceding that you don't have a contradiction.
Move on. I don't have a contradiction. Move on.
Just to be clear. Okay, cool. That's
just
fine.
To be clear, I am done. I don't have a contradiction. Move on.
Cool. Where should we go from here, man?
You still have not addressed my points.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
My point is, we cannot treat animals the same way we treat humans. Feasibly, it is impossible. based on
Okay,
just
cool. Show
how
me.
nature works. I'm
Okay,
telling you
show me the
over and over
contradiction with
again
that.
how nature works. Every organism has to prioritize their own existence over another in order to live, in order to thrive. That's just how existence is. That goes for plants, that goes for animals. That even goes between us as human beings when we go for job opportunities. That's just the nature of existence. Okay? Trying to apply the law of human to the law of nature cannot work. You cannot get a snake to not go and eat the egg from some bird somewhere. You can't do it. You can't get a snake to not eat a rat. Too bad. So sad. You can't do it. You cannot apply those laws to those animals. But by some logic that you have, we're supposed to apply the same laws we have as humans to these animals, and we can't eat them, even though those animals will never hesitate to not attack us or not kill us. Never. And it's silly.
Okay, so if it's the case that a snake will eat a rat, why is it the case that we should continue farming animals?
Because we have no obligation to them.
Okay.
Because it is an industry that makes lots of money.
Okay, so as long as we make money, it's okay.
Yes.
Is that's
sure?
Okay, cool.
If that's what it's going to take,
just roll back.
For some reason,
we can just roll back.
You seem to not be able to comprehend that we have no obligation to these animals. You take every other smaller detail and then you blow it up, missing what I am saying. In principle, what I am saying is humans have no obligation to animals. Animals have no obligation to humans. It doesn't matter. Money, this, business, no.
Okay,
we have no obligation to each other. Argue that point. Cool. Show me how any animal has an obligation to us as human beings.
Cool. Do humans have obligations to other human beings?
Lord, yes.
Okay, and what's that based upon?
It's based upon functioning society.
Okay, and what does that mean?
We cannot have a currency system if everyone steals from each other. The currency would be meaningless because you would just take what you want. Do you understand? You live in a society, dude. You function in a society. You asked me to explain fundamental, basic understandings that you go through, like you're not living through this world, like you don't drive in a car and you don't have a traffic light system. You cannot go if the light is red. Why? Because you'll be going in the ongoing traffic and you can kill someone that way, if not hurt yourself and that other person. That's why you don't do it. Just in terms of having a functioning traffic system, we have to understand green means go, yellow means slow down, red means stop. That's it. Just for it to function, we all have to do it. Because if it doesn't, if one person runs the red light, they can kill someone. If not, cause a car accident and then back up traffic, and then we have that kind of chaos. You understand that. I know you understand that because you're a human being with a functioning cognitive system. I know you understand that. Show me how a pig has a responsibility to me as a human being.
Okay. So that's a big jump that I'm not even sure. I got to just
so
ask.
You can't do it then.
Is it possible? Is it possible? Because that's not my argument, but is it possible?
That is my argument.
Just a little nitpicky thing, right? So, is it possible that somebody could go through a red light and society can still function?
The traffic system cannot function.
So, is there any situation where
you've done it again? You have totally missed the point. If I'm talking about the traffic light system, I'm not talking about all of society. So let's actually start talking about society. If we all started stealing from each other, can society function? No, it can't. So if one person runs the red light, did they steal from someone? No. But the traffic system isn't going to work because they just hit somebody. They just got into a car accident. Didn't work. But if we all have the same understanding that we can just take whatever we want from each other, we can't have businesses. We can't have trust in our family units because we wouldn't know who's taking all of our stuff. We wouldn't be able to barter and trade or do anything like that because everyone would just be stealing from each other. So in terms of that, no, you cannot have a functioning society in that system. That's why we don't steal from each other.
Okay. So it seems to be something along the lines of if there was people acting in a certain way, that would cause too much of a problem for society to function.
Yes.
So if you had the majority of people misbehaving in a certain way, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now,
Sure, you can have one,
can
and one
So I'm
person
just
causes
saying,
a lot of chaos.
yeah. So
It doesn't. It doesn't have to be a
enough,
majority. If one person commits murder, there's a whole bunch. Talking about an assassination of a high figure or someone who's is a CEO. One murder.
okay, cool.
It doesn't matter.
Okay, so it doesn't necessarily obviously have to be the majority of people. It just has to be enough chaos that causes society to break down, right?
Yeah, we can see that every day.
Okay, and can you tell me why we ought continue farming animals based upon that?
Because we as human beings have no obligation to those animals.
Okay, so this is where I'm just tripping up because it just seems to be this big jump where you go, society continues to would need to function in a certain way to not break down, and then you're saying we don't have an obligation to animals, which I don't really see how those two things are connecting. So can you just write that out for me if you can?
You want me to write it down here in the Discord chat?
Yeah, sure, because that solved the problem for when you said that I contradicted myself. So hopefully maybe this will solve this problem as well.
There.
Okay. Animals have no obligation to us human thus we have none to them. They have no responsibility to harm us or steal from us. Thus we have none to them. They cannot comprehend morality and they cannot reciprocate. Okay. So is it just if an individual have no responsibility? Okay. So if an individual for how you getting to the point that they have no responsibility to not harm us?
Because they don't. What do you mean?
So I'm actually asking. So I understand legal responsibility.
Have you
right?
ever taken a wolf to court? Have
No,
you
okay. So you just be are you just no. Yeah. So I'm just getting it clear from you. When you're saying responsibility, you're just talking about legal responsibility.
I'm talking about the whole shebang. Legal, moral, society.
Yeah, no, I don't. So I don't agree with this. No, I don't. This is where
argue the point.
This is where. Yeah, yeah.
Go on.
So
Go
by responsibility, I just want to make sure, like, you understand that animals can understand that they ought not attack certain things because there could be harm done to them.
Sure.
Okay. So what do you mean by responsibility to not harm us?
Will an animal still attack you, dude?
I don't know. My dog's sitting behind me and it's not attacking.
Okay, watch this. When I was a kid, and this is going to be a ramble, by the way, so let me just prep you for this ramble. When I was a kid, me and my friends were in the neighborhood, and these two kids came with their dog. So we were playing around with them for a while, and then what happened was we moved over to some old mattress that was off in some dumpster somewhere. We started jumping on the mattress. The dog, for all of no reason, decided that he wanted to attack one of my friends there. He just, for no reason, he just ran after my friend and bit him. So where was the obligation for that dog to not attack my friend? Can I take that dog to court for assault? Or can I take the human to court because they had responsibility over the dog? Isn't that how that works?
Okay, so just out of curiosity, if Isaac's essentially actually written it down, but if you replace that with a human being with the same cognitive capacity as a dog, right?
It
So you
does.
just had some.
No, dude. Answer my
Does
question.
that person have a response? Yeah, no,
Can I
I'm
take
actually
that
answering
dog
your
to court?
question. No,
Can I
obviously you
take that
can't.
dog to court? All right,
You
then.
can try,
So
yeah.
there's no obligation
Okay,
for
so
the dog to not attack us. You would concede
is your argument that if you can't take something to court, then you can fight?
my argument is we have.
I'm just
I have
trying to
made
get
the
clarity
argument
here.
over and over and over again.
Because we don't
What is the
actually understand.
principle
I
of
don't
my
think
point?
you have coherent. I don't know. It doesn't sound coherent.
The coherency of court relates to the responsibility we as humans have to each other. So we use the court system in order to regulate that responsibility that we have. So the court is a mechanism of responsibility to each other. That's the point of me saying, do we take it to court? That's the point. The point
Okay.
isn't to say that you're only moral because you have the courts. That's not. No, that's not. No, you're missing it. The point is that's how we regulate responsibility between two parties. You cannot do that with an animal. That is my point.
Okay, so this is where I'm just getting stuck. Are you actually just saying because if there's a creature that you can't take to court, it's okay
Lord,
to farm animals? I'm just trying to get it clear, mate.
I,
I just want like a clear, good argument for what you're actually trying to say.
I keep saying the same thing over and over again, dude.
So far we've got can't take to court, therefore okay to farm, is where I'm stuck at.
Literally, I literally just explained why that is not my point. I literally just said that the court is a mechanism of responsibility that we have between each other. I literally just said that. The point is not that we can't take them to court. The point is that there's no responsibility between us. We can't regulate that responsibility between us. That's the point. That's what the court represents.
Okay, cool.
Do you understand?
I want to know what you mean by that. I want to understand. No, actually, I don't understand.
So you don't understand. Okay.
So I don't understand what you mean by responsibility, right? So so for example, I've seen animals that understand. So if my dog does something wrong, I can tell him off, right? And he'll stop doing that thing, right? Maybe. So that seems like he understands he has a responsibility to not do that thing. And he's learned to not do certain things. So he's learned to not pee inside, right? He's learned not to chew certain things, right? So he seems to understand that he has some degree of responsibility to not do certain things, if that's what you're getting at.
Yes. Dogs are actually pretty special in general.
Okay.
For some cultures, at least.
Yeah. No. That's not. So if the claim you're making is with regard to responsibility, it seemed at first that you're talking about court systems. Just 1 second. Just 1 second. Just 1 second. I don't care about what I understand that happens in the world, right? I don't give. That's not the point I'm getting, right? So all I'm saying is, you said earlier that it's responsibility. The responsibility seemed to be something to do with the court system, but it's not that. It seems to be the case that if the animals can understand that they ought and ought not do certain things, right? And they can modulate their behavior based on that, then that seems like a good reason to not farm them. So I'm just trying to get clear on what your point is.
My point is that...
And if you can write it out again, that would be great.
Have no moral responsibility to us.
Okay, and just be clear about that.
Even, which means animals are under no obligation to not attack us. They're under no
what do you mean by that?
Do you know what it means?
Do you mean legal responsibility?
To attack them with their fangs, their claws, their teeth, their poison, their venom, their stingers.
Okay,
there's no obligation. There's no social obligation in terms of our society functioning. A coyote has no moral obligation in terms of society. Legally, there's no laws. There's no social proof. There's no unwritten rules. There's no unwritten agreement between us. There's none of that between me and a pig and a cow and a deer and a fox or anything or any animal. Doesn't matter. There's none of that between us. And in the same way that I cannot impose...
So can you just write this down? So I'm not interested in further rambling. Just write it down. Because so far you said responsibility.
Jeez,
you said some shit about it. Just write it down.
You're gonna call everything I say a ramble. You're just not even addressing what I'm saying.
Yeah, because
you're not listening. Listen, dude.
At this point, I don't know what you're saying.
Like at this point, dude. Like here's the thing, man. I am legitimately getting frustrated at this point because you seem to be pretending that you don't understand what I'm saying. Okay? You're pretending that you don't seem to grasp this point. And I don't understand why. I don't get this. And this is what's frustrating me about this. All right? You understand that animals cannot be treated the same way as humans. You understand that. I know you understand that because you're not stupid, okay? But for some reason, you think that we should not kill them, that we should not eat them, that we should not farm them. That's your discrepancy. You stop there and say that that's not okay. All right? So I want you to argue why that be the case. Because I honestly don't think we have any obligation to these animals the same way the animals don't have any obligation to us. We're on the same playing field. Which means
Okay, cool.
if a wolf came out of nowhere, just randomly, just I don't know, killed my son. I can't take that. I can be mad. I can be angry. I can't take that wolf to court. But if a human broke into my house and he killed my son and the police caught him, I can take him to court and we can get him in prison, if not get him executed by capital punishment. Do you see the difference between those two things?
Yeah, so I don't think that's problematic in the vegan view. You get that, right? So the name the trade argument and the consideration that we're using, it just doesn't, that's not problematic, right? So if you take in the context of all the factors that are relevant to this, right? So you said a wolf broke into your house, attacked your son. In the same way, right, if you had a human being jumped into your house out of nowhere, attacked your son, we would be okay with you protecting your son. I don't see a problem with that. If it's the case that that human being killed your son before you had a chance to do something about it, right, it would be okay for the relevant authorities to either get a hold of that individual, or if unable to, then kill that individual, right? If that person has the capacity to understand moral, I guess, morality at a higher level, then they should be taken to court, be tried, and then be punished suitably, right? If they are not, then they will likely have somebody representing or arguing on their behalf, and the decision will be made on that individual's behalf, right? And then the action should be commensurate to the punishment should be commensurate to the action that's been taken. None of that is problematic within the vegan view. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Okay. Now, I just want to be clear. I'll try and give you one more go, and then at this point, I'll probably call it. Can you actually show me what you mean by moral responsibility? Because none of this is actually problematic in the vegan view, and it actually doesn't. It's not in any way going to, I wouldn't think, justify us continuing to farm animals.
I don't know what else to say, man.
Yeah, I'm not sure you have much of an argument, but at this point, I'm just going to get Isaac to jump in because I'm probably going to roll it up at this.
Yeah, I've said my piece, and you've refused to argue the point. So, I mean, I don't know. I will ask. Let me ask one last question though, because this is one thing I've wondered about a lot of vegans. How do you guys feel about abortion though?
How is that relevant to veganism?
This is relevant between my thought.
So I'm just wondering,
how do you guys
can you make a there's several people here with specific
millions of fetuses are killed on a daily basis because they're not wanted.
Maybe I'll come in for a minute.